Information to help you run your business better and improve your marketing campaigns. My name is Hank Hoffmeyer, and thank you for joining me on Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. This is episode 210 of the HMBT podcast. Thank you for joining me. Today I have a guest with me. His name is Chris Herndon. I met him through the Triangle AMA, or the American Marketing Association, for those who are new to the podcast and don't know that I'm actually on the board there. It was great to meet Chris, and I decided to have him on the show because he has a lot of great information to share. He is with Lead Out Strategies, LLC. It's actually his consulting firm. He talks about strategy and innovation. And from what I know about him, he works a lot with nonprofits. He is a purpose-driven executive leader, and he's new to the Triangle area. If you are local, reach out. He'd love to network with you. He's an entrepreneur, urbanist, endurance cyclist, and avid fan of hockey and the performing arts. Chris, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. And if you can, tell me a little bit more about you and your business that I might not have already said.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on today, Hank. I appreciate it. And I'll just add, I've been uber impressed with AMA Triangle since I've arrived here. It's just a very robust organization. Met some phenomenal people, and so it's been a great way to connect and sharpen my skills. Lead Out Strategies is my consulting firm. And I've got an interesting background, a mix of for-profit and nonprofit, and sports, a lot of involvement in board and sitting on boards of nonprofit and civic organizations. So in each place I've been an entrepreneur, driving a lot of change and implementing a lot of new initiatives. So I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot. I'm very curious, so I like to learn about what others are doing and help them solve their problems based on some things I've experienced.
Awesome. And I know there's a couple things we'll talk about today, and it might be related to nonprofit, but you could take that information, you can spin it any way you want. One of the first things, Chris, is we were talking once about how nonprofits can turn donors into raving fans. And I think every company, whether you're a nonprofit or not, you want raving fans. And I think what you might have to say is probably relevant in all areas of business, but let's talk about donors into raving fans. I'm actually giving a talk next month about social responsibility and how nonprofits can get the word about what they're doing in the local area and socially throughout the world, and being responsible at the same time. And obviously they're going to want to know, how do I get more people involved in what we're doing, and how do we get more donors to give us some money and some funds to help us grow? But what do you think are the keys to turning donors into raving fans?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, I spent the last 7 years with the United Way in Central Indiana, which is one of the larger, more progressive United Ways in the country. And the phrase raving fans is something that the CEO who hired me brought up in the interview process. And when she hired me, that was exactly why she hired me. She wanted to figure out how we could turn United Way donors into raving fans. So I think it starts with just understanding, just a quick compare and contrast, why people become sports fans. I think they do it for a sense of belonging and identification and community. Certainly there's some entertainment and it's an escape from reality to a certain extent, a distraction from reality, which is different than nonprofits. I think people are drawn to nonprofit work sometimes for altruistic reasons in the mission, perhaps family, religious beliefs and what their values are. There's a personal satisfaction there. So it's some different drivers, some different motivations. And I think that was the, identifying, as I think back to, as I get more deeply involved in nonprofit work, I think that was the first thing, is figuring out, what is driving people and what are some of those similarities and some of the differences, and how do we leverage those?
I love how you said sense of belonging, community, and then entertainment. and I would even correlate that to email marketing, right? You want people to feel like they belong to a newsletter if you have it, and it needs to have a sense of community. In other words, hey, I want you to be part of our community. Here's what we have going on. Here's how you can get involved. And then also it does need to be, well, I wouldn't say entertaining, but maybe some people can be entertaining through email, but engaging. I would flip that word to engaging. And if your emails are not engaging, it doesn't matter if they feel like they belong and there's a sense of community. If they're not able to engage with that email, they're going to mark it as spam and they're going to unsubscribe. And then you can also correlate that just to business in general. But more important to nonprofits, because they have to feel all of those items. And if they do, they will want to give it back. And that, with me, with the AMA being a volunteer, I do have that feeling like it's a family. We all help one another, but more importantly, it's a larger family. We have our extended family, which are members and even visitors to a lot of our events. But I feel like that is one large community, and I have a sense to inform and entertain them as well. I like that idea. I don't know if that, what you just said turns them into raving fans, but I think it starts with them, right? They have to have a passion for that sense of belonging. If they choose a certain nonprofit or a business to give money to, I think it starts with them. They have to have that interest. It's hard to really just reach out to a mass of people and just say, you're now a raving fan by what you're putting out there. They have to have that spark inside them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's sort of where everything starts is, with the customer. I think if there's three key points, that principles in terms of turning donors into raving fans, and really any customer in any business into a raving fan. I sort of go back to 3 C's: customer, community, and celebrate. Customer, knowing your customer. Why are they interested in your product? What motivates them? What is that? How do you listen to your customer so you find that intersection of what they need and what your mission and purpose is, to get them emotionally connected and make it important to them. Second is community, and that goes back to some of the things you said in terms of providing that sense of community. Personalizing the experience. Again, you do that at scale through digital platforms. These days, you can provide a personal experience to tens or hundreds of thousands of people at a time. It's all about that donor experience and the customer experience, and building that personalization and connection with others. And then the third C, I would say, is celebrating, and this is maybe a little more specific to nonprofit, but celebrating the donor, not the organization. I think too often nonprofits and probably customers too, but companies too, but nonprofits also usually talk about a we as in the organization. Look at the great work we're doing. Come join us. It really needs to turn around and be focused on the donor and what are they doing, and celebrating them. And that's just gonna feed that sense of purpose for the individual, and make them realizing that whether they're donating or volunteering a small amount or a large amount, it matters. And so, customer, community, and celebrate the donor. I think those are 3 things that are the formula for building raving fans.
I love to celebrate, and the example you gave. And I would also say a lot of times you see when a nonprofit's trying to reach a goal, they'll say, we've reached this goal, or we've almost reached this goal, where you should probably turn it around and say, you helped us get this goal. And you is plural, right? But then again, when they see the word you, they feel like it's them. You helped us reach this goal. It's so much more powerful, that message, because they felt that sense of belonging. I helped them get to that goal, or get near that goal, rather than, oh, they collected money from us and they're almost there.
Right.
It's like, here, take my money, give me my product, and you don't care about me. Same thing. If you just say, we care about you, customer, and that's why we build this product or offer this service. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you look, again, using the comparison to sports, how often do you see an interview after the game of a winning team, and the first thing, often one of the first things they do is celebrate the fans and say, you guys were awesome, and oh, it was so loud, it was so hard to, for the other team to play against us in here. And so how do you apply that in a nonprofit setting, in a business setting, to really celebrate your customers?
Right. And switching gears a little bit, I know we were talking and you were talking about curiosity and why you feel it's underrated. Why do you feel curiosity is underrated?
I would say I don't hear people talk about it as often. And when you think about when you hear a company's values, it's maybe something that doesn't always trickle to the top. I know when I hire people, that's something I look for. I'm as interested, if not more interested, about the type of questions they ask me than how they're answering my questions. At least in that setting, it tells you sort of at what level does somebody think, how strategic are they, how tactical are they, how focused are they on themselves versus the company or their teammates or the mission or purpose. And I just think it's how you learn. Going back to the 3 C's, you can't know your customer unless you're curious about them, unless you have an insatiable curiosity about what do they care about, what are their habits, why, that sort of thing. You're not going to connect them with each other without that curiosity. And so I think it's critically important. I think it's helpful for me, and it's been helpful for me in my career. It's how we learn and grow and improve. If I'm talking, I'm probably not learning. If I'm curious on what the other person says, I'm gonna learn every day, and that feeds continuous improvement.
Yeah, it's important to get to know your customer, like you said, but if you treat them like a number and then you say, I want to analyze them and then I want to create a persona so that I can target them and make money, I think that exercise is not going to be as fruitful as if you say, I'm curious about this type of customer. Let's dive down. What type of customer is this? Maybe we have 3 types of customers. What really drives them? What emotions do they have? What feelings do they have? What needs do they have? What problems do they have? I remember a whiteboard exercise years ago talking about personas, and it was a little more data driven, and we were looking at information around, how many folks do they have on their marketing team? And I think we needed to say, what kind of culture do they have in their marketing team, even go that far to really just say, we want to solve their problems. We want to meet their needs. We need to be curious about them. That is a great tip. I hope that resonates with everyone. That is a great takeaway, Chris. I appreciate you mentioning that because a lot of people forget about the human side of business. They
Mm-hmm.
always remember the business side of it, but there's that human side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that constant curiosity to continue to learn about your customer. I don't think there's any finish line in terms of knowing your customer. We're like, oh, yep, we've got it. We know everything we need to know.
Right.
Individuals change, their surroundings change, as they are more deeply engaged in your product, what they want and needs change. So just that constant curiosity, there's no finish line to knowing your customer.
Well, the sad fact is there's so many people that sell a product or a service and they get that conversion and then they say they're done. They wipe their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And they forget about, it depends on the business, upsell opportunity, resell, and then even referrals and testimonials. They forget about all those items. They just say, okay, I got my money. I'm going to get my next lead, where they could still get some more, business, whether it's through referral or from that person, more business, and grow even further, and then turn people into raving fans.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So Chris, why or how is NHL hockey and Broadway musicals similar? What do they have in common? I think that's something that I wanted to talk about on this show today.
Yeah. So, and coincidentally, I'm going to a show tonight. I'm going to a musical tonight.
Awesome.
And
which one?
And one of the reasons, Come From Away.
Okay, cool. I've seen it.
It's relatively new. It's a Canadian musical that is just early on in its U.S. tour. But at any rate, actually, one of the reasons I chose the Triangle is I'm a huge hockey fan. And so as we were deciding where we wanted to live next, I wanted it to be in an NHL market.
Right.
But no, I'm a huge I'm a huge hockey fan, and didn't become a hockey fan until I was in college. Really didn't have a lot of exposure to it. First time I went to an NHL game, I was hooked, and I think the biggest thing is just how incredible the athletes are. I think they're the most well-rounded athletes. They have the hand-eye coordination of a baseball player. They hit as hard as football players. They move faster than basketball players. They're doing it all on skates. You'll never see an overweight or out of shape hockey player. They're all super fit. And, I'm a big fan of performing arts. And I, had this epiphany recently, and that this comparison to, actors that can perform in musicals, because I would say they're the most well-rounded performers in terms of, they have to be great actors, they have to be able to sing, and they have to be able to dance. They've got to be able to do it all. And so I think that's why, that's an odd, sort of an odd connection point, but I think it's why I appreciate both activities, because just the incredible human performers, and to be that versatile and perform at a high level and under stress in front of that many people is just amazing.
I think I would say they're dedicated to their craft, and I hope folks that are listening are dedicated to whatever business they're in, or even if it's something personal. Are you dedicated to it, and are you practicing, and are you setting goals? Are you performing at levels that you want to be performing at in life? Let us know. Drop us a line on the show. Search Hank Hoffmeyer, or go to hankhoffmeyer.com/Alexa and comment on a specific episode. We'd love to hear that, because there's nothing better than saying out loud what you want to do, what you want to be doing, or what you're proud of. And I'd love to hear it. I'll reply. I'll comment back. Chris, it was great having you on the show today. If people wanted to reach out and connect with you, what is the best way to do that?
Yeah, probably the easiest way is on either LinkedIn or Twitter. They can find me on LinkedIn pretty easily, Chris Herndon, Lead Out Strategies, or on Twitter at Herndo, HERNDO. I'd love to hear from people. Love to chat about marketing, about life, about hockey, about performing arts. Thanks again for having me on. Enjoyed the conversation, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, so you have a short Twitter name, so you must have been on there for a while, right? Because it's hard these days to get a short Twitter name. Yeah. Well, reach out. It sounds like you're active there.
Always an early adopter. Yep.
Awesome. And, Chris is an all-around great guy. If you want to talk strategy with him, reach out. If you want to talk nonprofit, I'm obviously going to guess that you're passionate about that, and you'll definitely have a cup of coffee, virtual or not, and help people out. But again, it was great having you on. Remember the information we talked about, having a sense of belonging, community, and entertainment. Give that to your audience. Make sure that they have that. And when the other threes were, I know the last one was celebrate, because that was so awesome that you said. What were the other two?
Customer, know your customer, community, build a sense of community, and celebrate your customer.
Know your customer, celebrate community, or have a sense of community, and then celebrate your customer. I need some more coffee today. Well, that's all for this week, folks. I'm going to have some more guests on the show. Be on the lookout for that. If you want to hear previous episodes, go to hankhoffmeyer.com/Alexa. I'm on iTunes, Google Play, and also on your Alexa device. You can install my skill and have me come live on your Amazon Alexa. I have my YouTube channel. I'm starting to post some of the episodes there again, as well as other helpful information. Connect with me, connect with Chris. And until next week, happy marketing, folks.